Welcome, everyone. Totally happy to be here. I thank you for joining us for this second class in this third module of Buddhist mind science. This one is called Getting to Know Your Mind. So I think we can agree that we all want to be happy. Yes? I think this is true. I don't think we can argue about that. Maybe. So we're examining how our mind shapes our world. And it's interesting when we actually recognize the truth of that. So the nature of mind is not just some philosophical concept or belief. It's something that we can actively observe in our daily life. So by observing mental experiences, we gain insight into their effect on our well-being. So let's begin with a meditation. And I think it's useful if we recognize how our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions affect our mood. Think about that throughout our session today. Our foundation is our posture. Jon Kabat-Zinn, the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction, advises us to take a posture of dignity. Think about that. If you say dignified, automatically then there's a lengthening of the spine and shoulders, a little bit pulled back, not much. And then feel the presence of the body in a comfortable seat, a comfortable position. Ingather your attention, relaxed, still, and vigilant. I invite you to bring your awareness to the crown of your head. And as this awareness, which is manifesting as a warm sphere of light, floats down through your body, allow it to soften and release any tightness or tension. Simply starting at the crown and floating down. This precious body, giving it permission to relax. Pay special attention to the upper back and the solar plexus, letting the belly be soft to receive the full breath. Begin to notice the sensations of the breath as the body breathes, as it flows in and out. Where does it appear most distinctly for you? At the tip of the nose, or the rise and fall of the belly? Place your focus, your attention there. And as we stabilize our mental stability, our concentration, we stay at that single point. And let's attend to 10 cycles, breathing in and breathing out as one. Once the mind has settled and the body is relaxed, I invite you to turn your awareness to whatever mental experiences arise, thoughts, memories, or the inner voice. Notice whatever arises in the mind without rejecting, grasping, or classifying these experiences. Simply observe them as if you were watching clouds pass through the sky. And if you find yourself caught up in a thought, simply notice that and bring your awareness back to the present, recognizing that the experience is just a mental event. Let it be, without elaborating or rejecting. Just momentary, present awareness of whatever is arising and dissolving. And try to observe these experiences with curiosity, this vigilant mind, watching, as if you're seeing them for the first time. And if there's nothing arising, just relax and be aware of that state. Momentary, present awareness. As you relaxed more and more, thoughts may lose their power or arise even less. Go beyond the usual way of relating to thoughts by simply seeing them without judging or classifying. Just for a couple of minutes, a strong determination to be present in this moment with whatever is arising and allowing it to be. Perhaps expand your awareness to include sense perceptions like sounds and sights, maintaining the same open attitude without classifying or following them. And with this open awareness, let's consider the direction we want to follow in life. One that brings lasting happiness and well-being for ourselves and others. And perhaps we might set that as a motivation for this session. And as we close the meditation, we move our body as needed while trying to maintain this wider awareness. I wanted to just say hello to the people in Zoom land as well. Thank you. I remember seeing His Holiness the Dalai Lama's home, and where he often offers teachings on Zoom, and the cameras pan the big screens like that. He's got two of these huge screens filled with faces, and he's sitting there. Anyway, welcome to all of you in Zoom land. uh, this meditation that we just did is called settling the mind in its natural state. It's about letting the mind rest, which can feel really refreshing. Can feel really refreshing. You know, how is that different from the way we normally think? Normally, is it true? We're always thinking, jumping from one thing to another. I think that's normal. If we're aware and we're watching, we can see that most of the time we're either ruminating over the past or we're fantasizing about the future. Sometimes during your day, just pause for a moment and see what you're thinking about. It's natural for the mind to think. That's its job. The question is, what are we cultivating in this mind? So, when we realize how much energy it takes to allow it to run as it will, it's very tiring. But when we relax and just watch our thoughts, just watch without judging, without forcing, not looking for deeper, not looking for anything, but just observing, then we find that perhaps there is a settling, a more deeper resting. There is a lot of stress that comes from this constant mental activity. But by practicing pausing, I have a button that my sister made for me out of wool felt that she embroidered pause on it. So I usually wear it on my vest, but I have a different vest on. So it's very interesting to just when we see what's arising in the mind, being very busy, the critical committee that shows up, to just, push the pause button. So, do you have any questions, comments about your experience in the meditation or practice, ideas, fantasies? Mark.
When I focus my attention on the present moment or instant or whatever, I don't relax. It seems to me that it uncovers the pervasive suffering, and that that's it. It just for me, the suffering comes up. The suffering of trying to have a world and be a self and that sort of stuff.
Can you watch it?
Uh, I can watch it, but it's so painful that I can only watch it for a little bit and then I kind of pull away from it.
Do you think that it is because you're labeling it something?
No, I think I'm seeing the world being I'm seeing myself creating the world or enforcing it. And that is for me a painful thing.
To see the self creating a painful world.
Well, just creating a world. I mean, it's got to make sense. It's got to be, the statues have to be the statues, and everything's got to be under control, sort of. And that is what I find. It's a tension, I guess. I don't find enjoyable, but I mean, I find it enjoyable And that it seems to be wise and an insight, but still, for me, it's painful.
Does it help if you take a deep breath when you recognize pain arising or dissatisfaction arising? Does it help to just go, okay, okay?
Um, yeah, that's what I kind of do, but then that means but at the same time, I back off from that awareness.
It's grasping after something that's arising.
Well,
Is it not?
I mean, for me, I feel like it's grasping after the truth, and that
Truth is painful.
the truth is painful. Yes, 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 yes.
Buddha said the truth is painful.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that was the first noble truth, isn't it?
Yes.
The
Yeah,
truth of suffering.
yeah.
Yes. So then perhaps you can rejoice in having a good look at it.
I do, I do. And I go back and look at it again and again and again, but each time I'm going, this hurts.
Yes, yes. I'll have to give that some thought. Thank you. It's a really good question. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. I was reflecting on what you said about posture and dignity. I'm having a bad back day
Yes,
and just trying to get in a position that feels both dignified and comfortable is a challenge.
yes,
And it has me reflecting on how much when we're in pain, we feel like we've lost some sense of dignity, like this body isn't really functioning the way a dignified body should.
yes, yes,
And it is very frustrating. So.
yes, 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 yes. I understand. I understand. So it is important to be comfortable because what we're looking at is what's arising in the mind. So if lying down in a supine position is comfortable for you to meditate, that's a completely acceptable position to meditate. And you can be dignified in that position. Dignity is a mental state. So when you say just be dignified, well, it doesn't mean that you have to do this. But it does conjure that, for me, it does conjure that. But absolutely, you should not be trying to meditate in a posture that gives ongoing pain. I have had back pain myself in my life, and I know how debilitating that can be. And to try to get into a position that is to put yourself in a position where it's ongoing and niggling all the time, which often it is, no matter what position you're in. We do our best, but don't feel pressured to put yourself in a pretzel or in any way. You get all the props together to be able to be as comfortable as possible and then attend to the mind. Experience shows that relaxing deeply and simply attending to the mind, to the present moment, it's even possible to look when the pain arises and see it. Because sensations change. Sometimes they're stronger and sometimes they diminish. But just recognizing is sometimes and accepting. And the best is actually wishing that this pain that you experience, for me, this is what worked the most, the best, was that may this pain that I'm experiencing now be enough. May I take all the pain May no one have this pain. May I be experiencing this pain for every living being who's in pain. And then somehow it seems worthwhile. Anyway, it's about shifting our attitude, but please don't put yourself in a position of pushing the pain. Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. Yeah. Okay. So, at first, this meditation can be challenging to understand this awareness of the mind, what's arising in the mind. But with persistence, it does become clearer, and it becomes more and more possible to be aware instead of sleepwalking. When we try to focus the mind on the breath, it's natural for thoughts to arise. What we're trying to do is not allow them to distract us in the time that we have allotted. You see, be realistic and allot yourself enough time to just begin to train for that. You would not be training a puppy by telling it to stay and then making it be there for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You'd ask it to stay for 5 minutes or 3 minutes, or maybe even only one. But begin to see how, if we can get a glimpse of the gap, this natural quality of mind that is empty and pure, and then trying to just see that, to go there. Oh, and then, the thought comes and the doubt comes and the pain comes and sensations, but in between and underneath, like the clear sky, there is peace. And we begin to uncover it. We begin to see it. And when we can abide in it longer periods of time, it changes our view of our meditation. It's like, I'd like to sit there and rest a bit rather than, oh my, I see my cushion and I have aversion. Do I really have to do that again? So we can see that if we do stay in the present moment, whatever arises will fade. Even the juicy bits that we would like to stay, they also will fade. So meditation has the potential to help us make difficult thoughts and memories feel less solid, because we watch them, but we don't grab them. We don't embellish them. We don't see them as real, and then begin to write the new chapter of the book on that particular suffering thought. So if we can see them, think of them more like waves on the ocean, coming and going, or clouds passing through the clear sky. Those are two analogies that are often used. Maybe it's helpful. The key is to try to relax and leave behind the expectations. Because even if you have what you call a good meditation, you think the next time you sit, you should have a good meditation. But our meditations shift all the time. Our experience is different all the time. So it's a process of letting go of attachment and rejection toward our thoughts. Just letting go. So whether we have delicious daydreams or fearful anxieties, they are afflictions, because anything like that, all thoughts, obscure our peaceful nature of mind. And it becomes harder to let them go if we follow them. It's a practice. Honestly, it's a practice. It's not going to happen like this. It's a practice. So Mingyur, maybe some of you know Mingyur Rinpoche. He's a Nepali Tibetan Buddhist practitioner, and he's very well known and an amazing teacher. And when he was a child, he had panic attacks and high anxiety for years. And his father was also a renowned Buddhist teacher. So he asked his father about it. And his father said, What did he say? Genuinely welcome anxiety when it arises. Genuinely welcome it. So he tried. And he genuinely welcomed it, but he actually hoped that it would go away. And it wasn't until he actually continued to just welcome it that eventually it lost its power. It wasn't that it went away necessarily, but it was his relationship with it. He welcomed it. He said, oh, hello. So I think, eventually he made peace with his anxiety. And it no longer troubled him after that. So the real work of our meditation is not just about dealing with emotions like fear or anxiety, but it's about changing how we relate to them. Because they will arise. They do arise. And when we allow them to arise and accept them, then we have the potential to transform them, to transform our experience of them. And there are so many strategies for doing that, and we'll be looking at them. So this meditation that we just engaged in, this cultivating awareness of the nature of mind, it involves with working with our emotions and examining how we relate to them. It doesn't mean ignoring them. So we have to deal with whatever's arising. It's coming. Whether we like it or not, it's here. Present moment awareness. It's here. So, and also the goal isn't to say that it's all in the mind. It's dependent upon causes and conditions, external factors. But our minds have a deeper, peaceful nature that's often hidden from us. So these attitudes, our emotions, our beliefs and thoughts that disturb us make our experiences difficult to control. They act like clouds that block the sun. So preventing us from seeing our true nature. Yes. And the more our minds are afflicted by these emotions, the more we experience disturbing emotions. The more we have them, the more we grasp them, the more we experience them. We tend to solidify. True, it arises, we buy it, and we think it's solid, that it's true, making things feel fixed and limited, when in fact, everything is much richer and more interconnected than we realize. And it's this misunderstanding that keeps us from experiencing deeper, peaceful natures of our mind. So what are the three main afflictions? Attachment. This is holding on to something we find pleasant or desirable and feeling the need for it. It's about not being able to let go. It's like a neediness. I want it. I need it. I never want to lose it. I have to keep. Second is aversion, which reaction against something unpleasant. I hate that. I never want to see that again. And the third is ignorance or delusion, which is not seeing reality as it truly is, but only as we want it to be. His Holiness the Dalai Lama refers to it as a misknowing. We think we know, but we have it wrong. So let's try and exercise a little inward exercise. So please find a comfortable seat. Be comfortable, relaxed and still, and begin by attending to the breath. Maybe 3 deep breaths, giving permission to let it go, whatever's arising. We're going to take a look at a strong emotion. So I invite you to bring to mind a time when you were controlled by feelings. Like, think of a strong emotion like anger or attachment. It's easier to notice if it's strong. Some event, some time when you were strongly attached, wanting, 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 or strongly averse, disliking, rejecting. Think of that particular time, and while remembering the experience, ask yourself, does this emotion come up by choice? Or does it just happen? Do you have control over it? Does the emotion exaggerate the positive and negative qualities? And do you find yourself thinking repeatedly about this situation, making the emotion stronger? So we're going to think about this for a few minutes. And there's no right or wrong answer. Just base your reflection on your own experience and take your time to think about it deeply. Did it come by choice? Do I have control? Do I exaggerate it? And do I repeat thinking about it? And as you examine it, if you become bored or distracted, examine that too. Let's just take a few moments to drop into the experience. Does it arise by choice? Do you have control over it? Do you exaggerate it? And do you repeat thinking about it? It's not about whether you have control over the event or the situation, but it's about asking whether you have control over your experience of it. And did you have control over your response? So the goal is to gain a balanced and accurate view of the situation by understanding how emotions affect our thoughts and actions. When we're trapped in attachment or aversion, how these emotions affect the way we behave. And when we meditate on the present moment awareness and begin to see how ephemeral thoughts actually are, then we begin to be able to better react to difficult situations. Begin to see through our grasping. So I think we will take a 10-minute break. And when we come back, maybe we can share our experience of looking at these emotions, strong emotions, if you like. Okay? So we'll come back at 5 or 10 after at the most. I'm going to say 5, but it'll probably be 10. Okay? So take a little break. And if, as much as possible, remain aware, remain present. What's going on? You take a break. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Does anyone want to share their experience of how an emotion arises and whether there's any control? What do you think? What did you see? Please. And please, when you ask a question or answer a question, please say your name first. Maybe eventually I'll learn some names.
Thank you. My name is Ferdy. And for me, what was interesting was not the emotion arising. I understood the scenario I wanted to examine, but it was the inverse of during the meditation when you had us think of the crown and have the energy come in that way. It was this dark heaviness that came down and was trying to remove my consciousness from what I was looking at. It was a veil that was coming in the way of it. So, and both times I'm conscious about trying to sit exactly on the spot of this chair where I can have my spine. Every time that happened, I felt like I was about to fall off the chair. It was as if I needed to lose consciousness rather than confront what it was I was processing, which happened maybe 2 or 3 times during the meditation. So that I found to be interesting. It didn't answer the question of
Yes.
where does it arise from? And it maybe made me look at, do I have control of it or not? I had sufficient presence not to fall off my chair, which I took as a good sign.
That's a good sign.
It was a good sign, but that was just the experience that I had from
Interesting.
that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. Anybody else?
Hi, I just wanted to ask you to speak to, so in my experience, it's a little easier for me, for example, to apply these techniques and these principles to things like people and their bizarre driving habits, for example. You know, I know that I'm attached to some sense of order. And when that is affected by, being cut off or whatever, I know I have a strong reaction. And it's much easier for me most of the time to say, yep, that's attachment and aversion and ignorance all wrapped up in the same thing. Where I have a harder time applying these things and teasing apart how to behave about things is in the world that we live in right now. There's so much craziness happening, and it's outrageously painful stuff. And how do you look at these atrocities that are overwhelming emotionally and embody, these figures as if they are Chenrezig and they are our, they've been our mothers for countless eons and lifetimes. How, when it's so powerful and so pervasive? That's a very different thing. And I know it's come up repeatedly in classes and that's just so much harder for me.
Yes.
It's so much harder to see that as attachment. And of course, I'm averse to, the bombs dropping, for example. I'm very averse to that.
That's right.
And how when that question of, do you have control? I feel as if, yes, I have control in these more immediate day-to-day things, but not with that, not with these enormous overarching things that I definitely label as horrific and wrong, and I can't seem to unlabel them so that I can tease apart that attachment, aversion, and ignorance. It's
Yes. So what do you do?
yeah. Now what?
Now what? Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I completely can relate to that. I can relate to it very specifically myself. And one thing that I have learned is if I go back and look at history, you see, you can go back as far as recorded history. And what I find is that there has always been some form of violence and war and harm due to people being cruel, and I know that until we eliminate greed, ignorance, and hatred, these kinds of horrific movies will appear in our world. So the best thing I can do, because I cannot control what's happening out there, what's already happening out there, I can use my voice as much as possible to say no. But I have the karma to see that in my world. And I have to accept that it is in my world. And then, because what I cannot change, I must accept. But I do try to change what I can change. And then I pray for the wisdom to know the difference. And the more I distance myself from the appearance, just like any thought, feeling, emotion, it dissipates until it appears again, until there is a new appearance. So I begin to see that that is not my mind. My mind is empty, spacious, and pure from the beginning. So when I'm captured by hatred, aversion, it's painful. But that's not the nature of my mind. I engaged in a 3-year retreat in which there was no internet. There was no cell phone. And there was no talking. One begins to see how much we talk and we say things that really aren't necessary to say. And we scroll through our phones, one horror after another, agitating, placing another seed of hatred and anger. So if I personally embrace the truth of the teachings, which say that we have created the cause to experience every result, then we are experiencing the result of past behavior. Someone said, look what we did to the Native Americans. Now, in this life, I don't have any memory of doing anything like that to anyone, and I do my best to give help rather than harm. But it does appear if I'm looking in my world. So until the very best thing that I can do is to cultivate loving kindness and let that ripple out. Let that be the stone that goes into the pond and go out. If I open the door for someone and say, good morning, if I help someone pick something up, it makes any act of kindness then has a ripple effect. Now, when I'm thinking about the perpetrators of these acts of what I consider, and you labeled, horrific, and it begins to arise, this aversion, as Lama Yeshe used to say, glue on the opposite. So if I think that these individuals are completely overcome by greed, ignorance, and hatred, and that really, just like me, they want to be happy, but they are so deluded that they perpetuate so much harm, then it doesn't mean that I want to go hug them all, but it does sort of dissipate my derision, my disdain for them as individuals. Still, the behavior is abominable. But nonetheless, it's a question of transforming my own mind in the moment to be in a state of peace so that I don't fly off the handle when I come up against a difficult situation. So that's how I personally deal with it, how I look at it. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's very, very, very painful to see. It's not like we try to say, it's not like we don't look, it's not like we don't understand. We do. But the cause are negative states of mind. So I try to, as much as possible, then catch myself when I'm about to and rein it in. See what I can do. You know, what group can I join to be able to help? Who can I write to? Who can I call? What can I do personally? And then feel some satisfaction for at least doing what I can and accept what I cannot. And try to maintain a sense of inner peace through it all. Because it's difficult. No question, it's difficult. So it's how we behave in the aftermath that helps us diminish it appearing again, the aversion or the hard, painful energy that we create within that arises as a result of revisiting, you know, they did that, and then they did that, and then they did that. And then, you know, this is the past, and then we're going to talk about the future, you know, they're probably going to like that. So it's endless if we allow our minds to go there. It's endless, endless. So I think maybe giving ourselves a break and trying to allow the mind to settle and begin to get a sense of our true nature, then when we have that understanding, there's nothing to hold on to. Has no essence. And there's no one home. So this is the work we have to do. So, you know, afflictions often arise on their own, not necessarily by our choice. Sometimes we might invite them by thinking about certain things, but often they just appear. And control over them varies. So strong emotions can make us lose control. I have seen calm people who are generous and kind and loving, completely fly off the handle. It's kind of like, wow, it's Strong emotions like anger, they distort our perception of reality. Scientific experiments show that people often don't remember what they said or did when they were angry. This is interesting. You know, you get angry and you really lash out, and then the person that you're confronting tells you what you've said. You go, no way, you know, I would never say that. You're my friend. But here's the video. It's shocking what we can do when we're under the control of karma and delusion. So it's, if we have a strong aversion for someone or something, we exaggerate their negative qualities. And we don't want to hear any praise. We don't want to hear that they have joys and sorrows. We just see them as inherently bad. And the same thing is true with our attachments to pleasure and positive things. We exaggerate their positive qualities. And we don't want to hear because we want that. And we don't want to hear any of the negative side of it. It's easier, well, it's not easy on either side, but it is easier to subdue anger because it's unpleasant. But desire is a little more tricky because it feels like it might be nice to have that and keep that. So these are things that we simply need to examine. What's arising, you know? Thinking about attachment, you know, the happiness that we expect from things. We have attachment to this, and we think it's going to go just like that, and it will be like that, and how wonderful it will be. And we will do this, and we will do that. Have you ever planned a vacation only to come to the other side when you get to the venue? And it's a fishing village, and you thought it was a beach? Oh, yeah. So we have these ideas about what happiness will come, and we exaggerate these positive qualities, and then we get the thing. I remember when I came out of this 3-year retreat, and my neighbor said, "Look, you know, you can get a smartphone." I had a flip phone, and I said, "No, you know, you carry that around, and somebody can call you any moment. I don't want that." But you know, eventually, I did get a smartphone. So I got this phone because she was showing me all the things that I could do with it that seemed so beneficial. So I had it in the box, and I got home and I opened it up and I pulled it out, and I was happy, and I couldn't figure out how to turn it on. So you see, we think that our happiness is in the object, but actually our happiness is in the mind. I call it the shiny object syndrome. You know, we're always looking, we're in the desire realm. We always want. We want. And certainly our advertising helps us want the new, latest, and greatest, you know, because we get what we want, but then it wears out or something new comes and we have to get that one. So there's this ongoing hum of desire. We just check. You clean the house. Oh, yeah, but you know what? I should really scour that pot. So many various aspects of our life are not good enough. This is one of the things that Lama Yeshe used to say quite often. Good enough, dear. Because we always are looking for something more, something better. Is it true? Do you find that in your world? Yeah. It's almost it's really laughable if we look and we see it. It's really kind of wow. Can't be satisfied with that. No, this is the actual definition of happiness. It's a state of well-being, contentment, ease of mind, satisfaction. And this is what Buddha said you can have all the time. In every moment, you can be happy. We have to look at what it is that obscures that happiness. If we allow afflictions to arise freely and repeatedly, we make them stronger. It is an addiction, really, to be, gotta know what's happening. I would recommend that your phone is not the first object you pick up in the morning. From personal experience. Yeah. And if you have your phone beside you in your gompa or your meditation, there's a string. There's something that's attached. There's something there. There is a hum of grabbing your attention. Even though it's not ringing or dinging or doing what it does, just having its presence there. Check. Look and see if it's true for you. Yes.
Thank you. When I was studying in college, I studied psychology for a couple of years before changing my major to anthropology and getting into the psychology of the mind and what we called using your powers for the dark side is very big. There is so much focus on studying how to get into your mind and how to use technology to manipulate the hell out of you on every conceivable and unconceivable level. When you're talking about that hum, it's very real. It's almost tangible. And so, yeah, I have noticed a huge difference in keeping my devices away from my head, just putting them somewhere else in my room and covering them up. And yeah, even your TV is doing it now. They've been at this for a very long time, from the beginning of the concept of advertisement. So, and now in the last few years, it's just gotten so much more advanced, and you don't even know what levels you're being manipulated on anymore. So, yeah.
This is, I think, the primary reason why we need to see whatever is appearing as essenceless, ephemeral.
Yes, and connecting to real people in real life and getting away from our devices as much as possible. I've noticed that the more I interact with people, the better it gets.
That's right. That's right. It's true. It's true. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please. But wait, back up. Tell me your name.
It's Lorraine.
Lorraine. I can't say that I'm going to remember everybody's name, but I appreciate knowing them in the moment.
Good morning, I'm Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Thank you for teaching this morning. In the first practice, I went for one of my go-to starting points of gratitude and gratefulness. And, as the clouds appeared, and like many of us, they're stacked up pretty thick. And in my mind, I don't know if it was push them away, but I came back to my go-to. And then in the second, and this is sort of a wisdom to know the difference question for you. I went to one of the clouds that kept pushing its way in, and found my way down through a layer or two of that. And it was, useful and good. So I guess my question is, or what I'm wondering is, do you take the clouds as they come? Or for me to, to sort of go to one of my go-tos and watch the clouds and come back to the go-to seems to be an effective way to get to a level of clarity and peacefulness in my mind. But it was also very useful in the second practice to let the cloud, right in and spend a few minutes with it and go deeper. So I don't even know if there's really a question there necessarily, other than I wonder about how to cope with the clouds.
Mm. The clouds are different every moment, they change, right? So being able to see that change and recognizing that, yeah, if you shine the sun of wisdom, it's like fog dissipating in the sun, When you say you engage with the cloud, does that mean that a thought arises and you think about it? You take it and reflect on it? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by your technique, because
No, I typically, the cloud comes, or the thought comes up, and I'll oftentimes hook to the breath, take a breath, sometimes a deep breath if it's a big cloud.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm pushing it away or wait until it goes by, but I return to sort of my go-to, which is
Yes,
oftentimes, today is, gratefulness, gratitude.
gratitude. Yes,
So
yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So personally, gratitude is a very wonderful way to start a practice, or to walk into your meditation place, stand before your cushion and think about why you're even there. Because if it wasn't for your teacher, you probably wouldn't have been there. You wouldn't have known how to meditate and what to think about and what to cultivate and what to abandon. So for me, I happen to have the good fortune of having a room that is my meditation place, and it's filled with, I've been meeting teachers for 50 years. So I have a lot of teachers in my room. And to just stand there and offer a light, an incense, and just marinate in the gratitude for the opportunity to practice is a beautiful way to start practice, because then it energizes you say, okay, I have this opportunity, and you recognize how precious the life is that you have. Just the fact that you're able to come into this amazing space and sit here and ask questions about how to look at the mind. That's remarkable. It's totally off the charts. So to think like that and to realize, oh, I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose this opportunity. Those two thoughts, the fact that you have this precious opportunity and that you are going to lose it for sure, you're going to lose it, and you don't know when, then it gives this more courage to really try. John Lama Yeshe used to say, strong determination, because we know that we might not have tomorrow, but we have to think like that. How many of you woke up this morning and said, I might die today? I didn't. All right. Good for you. Lama Zopa Rinpoche often recommends that. I'm glad that I have this day. I typically am glad to have the day And I do look at death every day. And I do find the importance of thinking about death. And it's important because it does give us this sense. Lama Tsongkhapa says, meditate like your hair's on fire. Yes.
Called Tony, and I was born during the Second World War, and I'm standing and looking at the potential of a third. And I've been meditating for decades. And the meditation and the Dharma is my refuge. And it's the Dharma that's out there that's being taught, and the beautiful things that happen, that have been happening right here, right now. The Dharma. And also the Dharma that I have embodied. And I've written a poem, and I'm wondering if I might be able to read it. It's a poem of my direct experiences
Please.
while in meditation between 2016 and 2014. It actually took me 7 years to write it, but it's only 77 seconds long.
Please share it. Thank you.
It's called A Glimpse, No Way to Explain. Sitting silently, the light turned around, looking within, no thing found, not nothing, no thing. Not holding on, not letting go, non-dual and free. Simultaneously, samsara and nirvana self-liberate, interpenetrate, and liberate each other. Not empty, not full, non-dual and free. Samsara and nirvana have different names, but are identical in the realm of reality. Luminous, deep, beyond hidden and seen. Inconceivable, no way to explain. In dedication to my teacher, Daido Roshi, abbot. Abbot Zen Mountain Monastery. What? Without whose teachings I could not have uttered a single word. This page would be blank.
Beautiful. Yes. No words. Thank you. No, it is practice that gives us the glimpse. Our meditation practice, we say, has 3 parts. First stabilizing, then analyzing, and then stabilizing again. So the 2 types of meditation, which is this stabilizing, one-pointed mental stability, using that sharp mind to then analyze. Like we did, we analyzed our emotion, we looked, we analyzed. And finally, the thing to do, the most important aspect, is to stabilize it. In other words, to look again. If there is any kind of an understanding that arises within your meditation, to pause and to stabilize that and hold it in the mind. Neuroscience says 20 seconds makes a new neural pathway or deepens one that you already have. So when we have what I call a Dharma aha, or a glimpse, to be able to sit with that. Otherwise, it becomes, we lose it. You see, we lose it. But we can go back when we've held that. Then we check again. Sometimes we chase our experience and want to have the same experience again. But in fact, it will be different, which is fine. But we have an experience in our meditation, and we sit with it to understand, to hold it, to deepen our wisdom, our awareness. So, when we ask ourselves what it would be like to be overcome by an affliction all day long, to be holding on to anger or attachment all day long, ruminating over it, how is that a valid path to lasting happiness? I don't think so. No. When we repeatedly embrace our attachment or our aversion, we are deepening the neural pathway to see it again. Every time we entertain it, it's like somebody coming to your home and you don't feed them any tea or cookies. They're not inclined to come again. I think one master said, let them come in the front door and then just go out the back. Just out the back. No problem. Don't serve them tea. The important thing to remember is just what William James said, that to which we attend in the moment becomes our reality. So the mind, takes its shape from what it rests upon. And there is a flavor of anger or attachment. It's kind of, our aura when we keep repeating and repeating again and again and again. So when we look, when we pause and we recognize this, and it helps us experience a moment of peace, a glimpse of peace. And when we habituate in that, and we begin to see how we can experience it in any moment, you see, this brilliant mind, this brilliant, open, spacious, pure, luminously clear mind is here right now. It is. It's kind of like, and when we know that, and when we have experienced that, we can pause and rest in that. And we don't need to get trapped, So feelings like anger and attachment and fear are not inherently bad. They only become harmful when they're too intense or arise at inappropriate moments. For example, fear can protect us from danger, right? Anger can motivate us to action. But if they're excessive or misplaced, then they can cause a problem. In Buddhism, the goal is to gradually reduce and eventually abandon attachment, anger. They don't even come. They don't arise. And not all attachment is negative, Enjoying temporary pleasures like eating chocolate, it's fine as long as it doesn't harm you or others. Lama Yeshe used to say, enjoy as much as possible, dear, without grasping. As a matter of fact, there's a book called When the Chocolate Runs Out. No, pleasure isn't something that we reject. Meditators experience pleasure, but there needs to be some understanding. One doesn't want to become attached to that. I think it says one can then just stay in the formless realm if you think that just this bliss of one-pointed, empty, spacious mind is the goal. It's a danger. So it's just questioning, to see. Anger doesn't arise randomly. There's causes and conditions. And it's also our own, what do we call it? Cultivation of it, to think that it's okay, right? So it is our judgment that feeds our anger or our attachment. I judge it as the best or the worst. And I either want it or I really don't want it. And our minds tend to see things as solid, as inherently just like that. And if we look, we can see that that's not true, but we typically don't look. You see, that's our job. We have to look. We have to see. So the key is to become aware. When we examine our experience, we can see that social media and advertising influence and shape our attachment and our aversion. From the time, we were little, I can still sing a jingle for Ipana toothpaste. It's interesting. So they know the psychology of it. And so, tapping into our desire realm. Let's make everybody want this. I had the good fortune to go to Bhutan before Zoom. And because I was traveling with people who were influential, and I was riding their tailcoach, what everyone calls that. I had many wonderful experiences and meeting people. And I had gone into a small restaurant, and I was shocked to see a television. And I was having a dinner with my friends with whom I was traveling, with the Supreme Court Justice of Bhutan. And I said to him, oh, I was surprised to see a television, to have all this outside influence coming in. And he said, well, there was really no stopping it because of cell phones. The cell phones had come. You can't The mail delivers the cell phone. The cell phone has the service, and there it is. He said, but we think that our people will be strong enough to overcome. That was, many years ago, I think, maybe 15 years, 10 years ago. And I don't know. I mean, it's really their measure of success is the gross national happiness, as opposed to the gross national product. And to have a place where and flying in there, the airport had mandalas on the ceiling. I mean, the whole place is just covered. And I thought, oh, this is the way Tibet was. Because this is a Buddhist country, and it's got these amazing zongs, monasteries. It's just spectacular. And I think now, because of greed, ignorance, and hatred, a whole country was destroyed. Anyway, the key is recognizing our obsession with things, people, places, and being able to see that we can hold it gently and enjoy it. Or we can gently ask it to leave without becoming strongly attached or averse. Because it can turn into a neediness, an obsession. A strong aversion can become anger and hate, and we can harm. So our practice is to transform that, to transform, to replace negative emotions with their opposites, replacing hatred, anger with loving kindness. And scientific research supports that cultivating loving kindness reduces anger. Cultivating loving kindness reduces anger because these two states cannot exist at the same time. So if we can pause, I think just like me, they want to be happy. And they're misguided. So we allow compassion to arise as a healthier response. Yeah. And generosity when we're feeling attached, and there's only one piece of cake left. So we offer it. Begin to see giving the victory to others actually has great benefit. The point is being aware of our mental states and using wisdom to choose better responses so that we diminish these afflicted emotions. Over time, we diminish them. In 10 years, you look back and you can see definitely, some small improvement. Definitely. So we're encouraged to use reflection and use awareness to the mental states that are arising. Say, is this a good choice to cultivate this? Is this a good idea? What's my goal? Always coming back to the goal. My partner says that. Well, that depends on your goal. What is my goal? My goal is to be happy. And does this bring greater happiness? The ultimate goal is not to use our intelligence or analytical mind for bigger and better things. It's for achieving lasting happiness and reducing suffering. There's a scientist, a contemplative neuroscience scientist whose name is Dave Vago. And he describes self-transformation as not a single breakthrough, but an ongoing process of integrating wisdom into who we are. And here's the wisdom. He says, if the self is changing all the time, there's always an opportunity to shift our mental habits and our behaviors in a positive way. I have a friend whose emails end with, whenever possible, be kind. It's always possible. And Ponlop Rinpoche, I attended a retreat during COVID online with Ponlop Rinpoche, and he ended the retreat. There was a big screen that said, go kind. And I thought, oh, that's active. It's not be kind, be kind, but go kind, in other words, small acts of kindness. What? Random acts of kindness? Go kind. So I loved that very much. So from this view, flourishing isn't a destination, but it's an ongoing, continuous work of awareness, self-regulation, and opening to something larger than ourselves. And cultivating awareness is not only beneficial for ourselves, but it's also a gift to others. Cultivating peace internally, it's not a personal luxury. It's a contribution to world peace. Because every act of kindness ripples. And I really enjoyed watching the Theravadan monks doing their walk from Texas to Washington, D.C. with the mantra, today is my peaceful day. It's like waking up with gratitude, thinking about gratitude. Today is my peaceful day. So let's dedicate the positive energy that we have created by settling into our seat. And opening our heart and mind with a grand wish that all the positive energy that we have created today allow us to continue to explore for the benefit of all. And may our actions contribute to the end of war for all time. I think of those who are ill, may they be healed. Those who have passed away, may they have fortunate rebirths. Anyone in your life who would benefit from some positive energy today, bring them into your mind's eye and send them this loving kindness energy. May they be well and happy. May all our teachers have long and fruitful lives. And may quicker than quick actualize this path to total freedom and enlightenment. So thank you all for attending. Very best wishes until we next meet. Yes. Maybe take a look at the manual to see if there's anything that it augments. And every day, try to reflect through some meditation. What is the nature of this mind? And be gentle with yourself. Okay.
And also, please remember that Elaine has a workshop next Saturday on growing your retreat habit. So do we have to register online for that? No. So check online and come for that.
Yes, so I just say a word about that. I have done a lot of retreat in this life. And I recommend that everyone do a retreat, even if it's only for one day. So establishing what that means is a good idea. And I'm really happy to share what my experience has been in retreat over the years. So I think it was in 1998 when I did my first solitary month-long retreat. And I've done it every January since. So I can share how and why and what's the benefit, if you like. So come.
It's from 10 a.m. to 3:30.
Great.
And with a lunch break, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Bless you. All right, let's carry on then. Thank you very much.